Welcome to Art Lit at Lake Grove Elementary. This is Teresa. You might recognize my voice if you volunteered last year because that was me on the videos. This year we have a parent volunteer, Nick Heath, who's helping us with our videos. Thank you, Nick. I'm going to give you a quick tour of the art cart. Most of you are familiar with this lovely art cart. We have two now. It will usually come like this, especially with the drying rack on top. Is very helpful when you have pieces that need to dry. Even when we don't have pieces that need to dry, we'll probably do this so it's easy to keep them sorted and organized, top down. You will see usually stored underneath that are printed notes and presentation and some examples of the art. So if you find these, they'll say example art on the back. Please leave them on the cart for the next people. Next down, you'll find all the supplies. So we try to have enough supplies that we don't have to replenish it too often. There'll be a huge bin of paper or whatever medium we're using. These for this lesson happen to be for water, but we'll explain in the videos what everything's for. A lot of times, just for good measure, we'll put pencils or scissors on here, but you can usually use them from the classroom. And then the rest of it is all going to be very special supplies. Even this time, like the paper is special watercolor paper. So if you run out, let us know because we'll get you the right thing so you don't have crinkly results. A bin of markers in this case. We'll try to have 3 or 4 sets so you can distribute them to the students in pods. You're usually sitting in groups. In this case, we have also paintbrushes. And then we're going to be drawing and painting with markers flowers for Georgia O'Keeffe. So those are here. Please make sure those kinds of special things make their way back onto the cart because sometimes they walk away, and if that happens, just email us and let us know. At the end, please dump out any water, clean up anything, and then roll the cart back to the art supply room, the teacher supply room. That's the art cart tour. Thank you. Hi everybody, welcome to Art Lit Lake Grove Elementary for October of 2024. Our artist this year, this month, is Georgia O'Keeffe. We're trying something new. There's a much simpler way of doing this lesson. It's going to go really fast, and then we're into the demo. We're here in Lake Grove doing a live demonstration. We have a few people here. You're welcome to join these next time, but also we're always going to record them, so if you can't make it, just catch up on it later. I will also say this year, the way they've done the lessons, the district heard us and they have made it much easier to just drop in. You don't have to know how to present, you don't have to know anything, you just read the slides and ask kids questions. I'm going to make an effort to go through the lesson, but mostly just demonstrate how it could go, because it really is more about how you feel the room with your students. So this is every slide show this year is super normalized. They all have the exact same stuff. So we have an introductory slide here. You can explain here. There's notes that will be in the presentation. They're also printed. Georgia O'Keeffe was a renowned great American artist, obviously primarily a painter, but she also worked in charcoal, pastels, and sculptures. And she's known for breaking traditions. And in her personal life, she developed a unique style, made her own clothing. She's a very famous female painter, and as a young adult she had the emerging art form of photography inspired new ideas for photography and painting, and you'll see that in some of her work. Fun facts if you have time, she also loved driving fast in her Ford Model A, speeding through the New Mexico desert, and she customized the car so she could remove the front seats and make a mobile studio in order to protect herself from desert insects and harsh sun while she painted in the desert, which is pretty cool. Don't have a picture of that though. This is a slide you'll see now. You don't have to linger on this with the students, but it's part of the curriculum, so they're putting this in here so that we can all kind of understand what we're going to be learning. So we're going to discuss the modernist art. We're going to discuss composition is the main thing you'll see, and that in the lesson in the demo, the art project, and then creativity and experimentation. So you don't have to show this to students, but I'm showing it to you so you know what you're teaching. So this is what we're going to learn today, composition styles. So you can, it's important to kind of linger on this word composition. It's one of the art things we're learning. It really has to do with the arrangement and placement of visual elements within a work of art. And the visual elements are the shapes, the colors, the lines. If they've done art before, obviously they will have heard these terms before. Artists decide how to compose their works based on what they want their artwork to look or feel like. This is important because it's actually a really powerful part of art. You get to decide how you want it to look and feel. So notice how in this one on the left, they're both flowers, but the arrangement, the composition is different. So in the one on the left, you can see the entire flower. It feels different from the one that's very zoomed in. And when Georgia was a young artist, photographers had just started using this zoomed in style. Before that, photography was very documentary. So this new approach in photography inspired her paintings. You could, instead of reading all that to the students, just ask, what's the difference between these two things? And that would be a way to have a conversation. So how are these two flowers different? One zoomed in. That's composition. At this point, there's a video.
Georgia O'Keeffe was an American artist who is often referred to as the mother of American modernism.
And it will
She is best known for her large paintings of flowers, skyscrapers, and the landscapes of New Mexico. Georgia O'Keeffe was born on November 15, 1887, on a dairy farm in Wisconsin.
So I'm not going to play the whole thing because you can watch it, and you'll watch it again in class. But that's what will happen. It's going to automatically play for you, hopefully. If it doesn't work, there's a play button. It's all YouTube. It should just work. I should note that if you don't have your teacher, hopefully has this all pulled up on their iPad. If you aren't running into issues, do what you can. But I haven't heard any issues like that happening, so let me know if you run into any problems. The other thing to note real quick, there should always be a teacher in the room with you, because this doesn't count as curriculum if there's not a licensed teacher in the room. We haven't had that issue at this school, but at some schools I've heard sometimes they leave. So just make sure there's somebody in the room with you and there to help you. Cool. So we watched the video. Then you can refer to the art. Now we get into the art. This art now is organized. The slides are organized from here on out with most important to least important. So if you read the room and the students had it, they just want to get on with things, or you run out of time, you can just do this slide and then move on. So that's really great. The first slide's always for all grades. So we're going to talk about how examples in Georgia O'Keeffe experimented with compositional styles like we talked about earlier. And these three paintings are the same type of flower. So you can ask, what do you see when you look at these paintings? And when somebody explains, hopefully they raise hands and you call on people, well, why do you say that? They might say something like, well, this one has the whole flower visible, and this one's closer up, and this one looks like it has light coming through it. Explain why they say that. Well, it's because the light is like, if these colors are lighter, or this one is filling the entire screen, the entire page. And you can ask, what do you notice about the paintings that are more zoomed in versus those that are zoomed out? And when they answer that, you can say, well, why do you say that? The idea here is different from last year where we lecture more, and it's more about just asking students what they think about pictures. If you were to make this painting of a flower, would you make it zoomed in or zoomed out, and why? And so you can kind of turn it back to them at all times. Same with this one. This slide's for all grades. Three more examples of famous flower paintings. Are these all the same flower this time? No, they're all different ones. But how is she using the zoomed in style on these ones, and how is it different? A fun fact, in 2014, this painting sold for $44.4 million. Okay, again, at this point you can start to taper off if you want, but there's a lot more that O'Keeffe did than just flowers, so we are showing a few of these other pieces. She was inspired by these skulls in the desert that she found in the desert, so we're going to talk about how she used creativity and experimentation to represent the world around her in unique ways. So you could ask, okay, what's the first reaction you have with these paintings? And people might say they're scary or they're peaceful or whatever. There's no right answer. And why do you think you'd have that reaction? Gets them to kind of talk about the mood and the colors and the painting as technique and all of that. So you can ask, why do you think O'Keeffe chose to paint bones? What might have inspired her? Maybe she found them in the desert. Maybe she likes animals. Who knows? No wrong answer. Why? And would you want to hang one of these in your house, and which one and why? Again, if you don't get to all the questions, no big deal. Just kind of going through them so those of you who are listening or watching later can kind of hear this all instead of having to read it all. Okay, this slide is this is really for slides grades 3 to 5, and it will say on the notes that it's for 3 to 5. No big deal if you read it to everybody, but at this point, the district curriculum thinking is, let's just go ahead and taper off, and like the kids with the smaller attention spans can get on with the project. So you can say here, as you probably noticed, O'Keeffe painted the same things over and over and over again. And why do you think she would do that? These are 3 different paintings representing the same mountain near her home in New Mexico. And we could talk about why artists would do this. And the reason that they want us to drive towards is experimentation. They're trying things out. And that's what art's all about. This slide's for all grades. If you're at 10 minutes, you can skip right ahead. That's the other thing. There's kind of a limit. At this point, they actually only want it to be 10 minutes. So you can just skip right ahead. Here, we're just going to talk, maybe this is the last slide, I think. Talk about how O'Keeffe used creativity and experimentation to represent the world around her in unique ways. This is a painting of clouds that she saw out of an airplane. I actually wouldn't say that to the kids. I would ask what they think they see. So what do they see here? Who knows? Maybe it's ice cubes floating on in a cup. Maybe it's icebergs. Maybe it's, who knows? So you can kind of ask what she's trying to show us and ask why they say that and why this feels special. And how you might experiment when you reveal it's clouds in the sky from an airplane, how big kids might experiment. And that gets them in the mindset for the art project. So that's it. That is the lesson. Quick, fast, get it done. We're going to pause and get everything together for the art project. I guess I'll just actually do a little bit of a transition. So there's the art cart. You should have this in the room. A helpful thing to do can be to bring this in, try to arrive 15 minutes early and bring this in. And your helpers, whoever's presenting, while you're presenting, the helpers can have us at the back of the classroom and be preparing. In this case, all we really need to prepare is having a cup of water because there's no paints or anything. We're going to do markers and then we'll show you how it works. So you can prepare that. You can get all of the things kind of prepared to pass out. The problem with passing stuff out too soon is the kids get really distracted and start tinkering with this instead of paying attention. So the general recommendation is have everything staged. If you have 2 or 3 helpers, it's pretty easy and fast to get things out there. When there's things like this, special stuff to kind of distribute, do think about how to do that equitably. If we have enough, people can pick their favorites. Otherwise, just we're doing by pods. So that's kind of what we'll do. So look at this all set up, and then we'll do the lesson. All right. We're going to now move to the art project for Georgia O'Keeffe. Here are some examples. Maybe they're upside down, maybe they're not. It's up to you, the artist. There is a video that we are not going to play in here. It will be playing as soon as you hit this intro screen. It automatically plays just like last time. But after that, our advice is, because every project now has a video, go ahead and play it in its entirety. Don't have the kids follow along and try to do it with the video, because the videos are all max 4 minutes long. This is a perfect time for them to just watch, see the entire thing, tell them you're just going to watch and see where the whole project goes. And that's when the volunteer helpers can be passing out supplies. Do not have them try to follow along because the video is way too fast. They're often really sped up. So this is what we're going to work on. Viewfinder images of flowers. So the first step, as you can see from behind, is this. You're going to need all these supplies. So you need paper, pencils, brushes, and markers on each pot of table, plus some flowers. Each student will have the paper and this black viewfinder card. The first step is you take the viewfinder. Oh, actually, the first step is you always put your name on the back. So write the name of the student and then write the teacher name on the back or the room number. My advice with this paper is that the smooth side, I tested both. The smooth side's better to be the back. The bumpy side is better to be the front. It holds the water a little better, but it's not a disaster if you use the wrong side. Okay, and then the next thing we do is fold this piece of paper in half. In the video, she says draw a little box. You could also just cut it, but draw a little box. Cut on the fold. Make sure it's on the fold, not on the other edge. If you do that, it's okay. Just fold it and then do it. You're making a little window. That's the point. So with this window, unfold it and then move to the next step. The next step involves picking a flower. So I'm going to get a few more. Also, these are all, kind of the same pansies. But the idea is you look at the flower and you can make it bigger or smaller. If you watch the video, it's super straightforward. So I'm just going to focus on giving tips, having done this project and teaching the people in the room. My big tip here is draw it really big. It's very, very challenging in past student lessons, I think, for them to fill the paper. So my suggestion is like have them look at it and then encourage them to draw really big. So like this little circle in the middle is quite small, but we're going to draw big. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Again, it's more about how it feels, how they want it to be zoomed in. So just draw the lines. You're drawing some outlines. Cool. So you should have something kind of like, I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of big. How is it going?
I move it bigger.
That's perfect. See, exactly. I think that's great. Okay, and then the next step, if you feel like you like what you have, is to grab the markers and color them in. So they can use the colors that are here. Georgia O'Keeffe did not really do, realistic colors, but honestly, the kids are having fun. It doesn't really matter. So what we're doing is outlining on top of each of these. And what you saw in the video was if you want it to be darker, you can kind of do an extra layer, extra thick border or line. The goal is not to color the entire shape in. So you might be to keep expressing, get the helpers to help explain. It's just outlining. The next step is interesting because these specifically, please use the markers that are on the table that are on the art cart. They are non-washable. That is like something I don't think it'll ruin people's clothes exactly. It's not what I'm worried about, but more just that it was very specific in the instructions that they have to be that style so that they they bleed the way that the watercolors should. So, yeah. So just kind of do this. I think it's fun to do this. I'm going to put out a pitch to come to this next time because I did all the projects last year and it was really fun. You have done them before you come in? Oh, no. Another thing to encourage is having them go all the way off the edge, like full bleed. That's totally fine, or very close to it.
After I add water, can I go back in with more marker or no?
You can. I did that on this one.
Okay.
I went back in after. Also, you can't probably see it, but you have to watch out because if you dab the paint from elsewhere, like there's like a green spot here that I tried because it transfers. So hopefully the kids don't get too frustrated at that. I know sometimes these can get smeary and stuff, so manage that. and just always keep
dip it in the water and then.
So now you need a paintbrush.
Oh.
So yeah, now we switch to paintbrush and we dip the paintbrush in the water. If you want, you can. You try it out and see how it works. Yeah, so I like these big things because then they can leave the brush in and it doesn't tip them over. So we'll probably just use these, but yeah. And my tip here is put the water on the line and let it soak there for a second, gets a little more water, and then draw it out. It needs kind of like a minute to soften up. This paper can take a lot of water, but if they try to have them use not too much, well, so it kind of does that, like a gradient.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's really cool.
I also noticed that these long, kind of floppy paintbrushes are a little frustrating to use, so I might try to pull all of the like shorter ones and figure it. They're kind of all mixed together. Sometimes my advice for the little kids is, the big brushes, because they get frustrated that it doesn't like do a lot sometimes. So bigger. I don't know. Maybe we try them and just see. When I did it at home last night, I had just small brushes. It took a long time.
Well, it works pretty well.
You can see it does smear. So if they use a rainbow of colors, they might get brown, which is fine. And that's where we have paper towels. So I might suggest that we also bring a couple paper towels in case they get over enthusiastic with water to every table. Okay. Yeah, blot the.
Yeah, I can do the starch out
paintbrush. So if you blot the artwork, it will take the color off quite a lot. So that's good if they feel like they made a mistake, but it's bad if they like what they've done. So maybe the blotting is more about like getting your paintbrush less wet.
These are great mirror sets. Instead of watercolor pencil, I think.
I just found out the watercolor pencils, one of the ways you can use them is by just like putting a big blob of water on the paper and then drawing inside of it.
My own play.
I've never done that. I didn't realize that was how they were designed.
I'm not real good at watercolor, so it's been a trial and error process with me. Mm-hmm. Good job. And saying
that comes out really nice. Look at the purple ones.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Purple. Really pretty. It's bleeding out, but I don't think that matters.
I think that's where, if they have time, they can dry a little bit, and you can always put like darker color maybe in. I actually think I need more.
It really helped. I should have made my lines thicker. I think really pick lines, because then you got more color around.
That's a good idea. Yeah, if you hold the marker kind of at an angle, you can get the thick edge.
Yeah, that's gives you a lot more color.
This brush is like shedding.
This brush is placed it. Take him.
All right. So I think big focus is get the flower done. And then if there's time, they can add color in the background. Yeah, a good idea to just do green or blue or something like that.
Kind of like that one flowers that you put up with that was in the center.
Uh-huh. Well, we're not doing desk protectors, so just we'll put some wipes. Wipe them off.
Oops, I'm raising the desk with my legs. Okay. So. So try to encourage them to fill the whole space, right?
Yeah.
The big hot, the big panel.
If there's time. It's so like unique, the composition idea, like these giant flowers.
I hope we got some bigger flowers like in my dishes.
Yeah, I might. These are the ones the district people gave me,
okay.
but it's not because they require them. They're just like, we did half of it. So I think the one she had in the video, like those big tiger lilies, would be really cool. Or like a giant rose.
Well, I might pick up some, next time.
Yeah, I think we should have a lot to pick from because these are all kind of the same. I had some,
especially the younger kids can have one flower that was big.
oh yeah, one big flower, a bunch of little ones. Yeah, it's a good idea. We could also cut some of those apart, maybe, if that would help.
I think that would be a really good idea. If we need more, those are like, yeah,
a sprig of each. That's probably what we should do. And then they're easier to hand out. Yeah, and then I'll get maybe some roses and tiger lilies or some peonies or something. I had some peonies at home, but they're white, and I didn't think that'd be easy to draw.
Like some dahlias.
Oh, yeah. The goober would be cool. This was the calla lily, and I had to just make it orange.
I love it. I think it's great. Yeah, it'd also be a bird.
It could also be a bird. It could be a lot of things.
It could be an onion. Be popular in other colors, too.
Yes. Exactly.
Very fun. It's a fun project.
Yeah. So that's what we've got. I'm going to show off your pieces.
It's annoying.
There's the camera over there. Yeah, so then, I mean, not to rush you along, Tessa, if you want.
Yours looks great. I love it.
I think it's just about, like, washing I don't know if they have to be fully washed. They're not that painty, but, like, maybe just a quick rinse and, like,
just
a wipe, and then, dump the water and put it all back.
So much less mess. I love it.
Then actual clean. Yeah. The viewfinders, I should say, one of the ideas with the viewfinder is you can actually, here's all the rest of the steps. You can tell them they can keep this. We could have had them they pick one, but if they get to keep it, then they can do their own compositions all day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Fun. I like it very much.
All right. Cool. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
That's it.
You've done it.